So we're sat in the pits at Spa. Check your mirrors, check your seating position, everything else. When leaving the pits for the first time, you release the pit lane speed limiter here, but still be very, very careful. It's a very tight pit lane exit, and you need to keep to the right hand side of this solid white blend line that's on your left there. Then accelerating out, dropping down the hill towards the famous Eau Rouge. Get it over to the right. You don't want to hit the wall, but you want to have your right hand view mirror reasonably close to the wall here to give you as good a line into Eau Rouge as possible. We'll run a couple of laps and I'll talk you all the way through each corner so we have plenty of time. Avoiding, especially when you're out lap, cold tyres, avoiding hitting the curbs too hard with the low tyre pressures. Then you're coming down the back Kemmel Straight towards this next sort of right left chicane, so braking very hard, probably around the 200 meters, down into third gear. Make sure you turn in, get the first apex, immediately feed into the left hand apex. You can kind of see the dark rubber line on the road that's sort of the ideal racing line through here. Dropping down the hill, because it's downhill here, it's also very, very bumpy, so you're easy to outbrake yourself. So you want to brake on the early side, turn in, take a slightly late apex in the corner, then hug the corner, being very careful on the exit with oversteer in terms of trying to get on the traction too early whilst holding too much steering angle. Then we're dropping down towards Pouhon, very, very fast left-hander, brake hard, down one gear, turn in, very gentle with the throttle, don't be aggressive with the throttle through here, and if you see from the steering wheel there, you keep a constant radius, constant all the way through that corner. Heavy brakes for this set of S's, third gear in, might be slightly different in the challenge car. Again, just being really careful not to hit the curbs too high. You can use a lot of the exit curve that's quite flat, and on the next lap we'll run through that a little bit more. Through here, be very careful not to run too wide onto that exit curve. You can see that AstroTurf on the left. If you run up on that, you'll lose the rear of the car. And then this is a section that's flat out, albeit it's not straight, but you have to sort of thread the eye of a needle through here. You've got this very fast left, which is flat, coming up to the famous Blanchimont corner. Run out to the right, get the car straight, then dab the brakes, turn in, and then on the exit again, once you don't run too wide to run onto that AstroTurf, get it over to the left, then very, very heavy brake, and down into second gear for the chicane that leads on to the pit straight again. So basically coming now to start a proper lap of Spa. So accelerating up through the gears, pulling the car back over to the left hand side. You brake around the 200 to 150 board, very, very hard on the brakes, down into second gear. Turn in a little bit early here to use the camber of the road, then be very careful with the throttle not to go too early to pull the power on the exit. It's very easy to lose the power, lose the rear on power oversteer there. Then dropping down the hill towards Eau Rouge, keep it to the right hand side. Just before you turn in, you brake, downshift, then turn back to the right, release the brake, and then get back in the throttle gently, avoiding the curb too much to begin with, still on the left hand side of the top there. Now going down into Eau Rouge is one of the few corners where you brake down into and still be braking as you turn right to go uphill, just to keep the grip over the front, the weight transfer over the front for grip to turn in. Then a very heavy braking down to third gear, get the nose in, make sure you apex immediately, dart to the left. Don't fight the car too much here, let it run back out to the left, and then through here you can use this exit curve quite a lot on the way out. Dropping down the hill here, remember I said it was bumpy, so don't brake too late, turn in, get an apex, then hug the corner, then feed the power gently, just hold the throttle, now begin to, as you straighten the wheel, begin to accelerate off the corner, then brake, turn in, take a little bit of curve at the apex, and then use a little bit of curve on the exit. Again, not taking liberties, but you need to take those curves. Then braking, down one gear, turn it in, release the brake, then into a gentle throttle, and then balance throttle, and as soon as you're in a position to start straightening the wheel, get hard in the power, but again, never soar away at the wheel through that corner. Heavy brake, down to third gear, turn the nose in, gentle throttle, at 15% throttle, hold it, a little bit more, then back out again, and then squeeze the throttle coming out again. Watch the rear of the car coming out here, hard on the brakes, down into third gear, make sure you make the apex and feed the power on gently, and then a lift here. You don't need to brake for this one, but a long lift, and then back on the throttle, watching the exit there. You can run the curve like I did, it's a little bit there, but you don't want to go beyond that. It's very dirty as soon as you go beyond that curve. Then flat out down towards this left hand, and then the next left hander at Blanchimont. Brake. You don't need to change down, but just brake, get the nose in, and don't pick up on the throttle again until you're at the apex, and then hard on the throttle again, down towards the final chicane. Very heavy braking, brake all the way in, release the brake, a little dab of throttle, then brake again into the left, and then as you're coming out of this corner again, make sure that you don't get hard into the power until you're in a position to start feeding the wheel straight. again, back to the hairpin, La Source hairpin. Heavy on the brakes, down into second gear, turn the nose in, pick up on the throttle, and then as soon as you can straighten the wheel, then begin to get back into the power. Again, if you try and go hard to the throttle, whilst you've still got a lot of steering angle at Spa, it will bite you. It bites you at any track, but in particular here. So again, braking, down one gear, braking up the hill, release the brake, now back in a gentle throttle, and you can straight line the top. Now your tyres are up to temperature there. So you can straight line that curve at the top, but make sure when you hit that apex curve at the top that you've got the wheels straight. You don't want to be hitting that with steering angle in the car because it will really bounce the car one way or the other. Then coming down to Les Combes, heavy braking, 150, maybe a little bit before. Get the car in, a little bit of throttle, but you never back to full throttle here, just gentle throttle, maybe 20-30%, just threading the eye of the needle. You're going right, left, and then right again, so be very careful with the throttle and the steering inputs. Down the hill, bumpy braking, brake hard, get the nose of the car in, pick up on a gentle 10% throttle, 15, 20, and then as you're able to drive off the corner, straighten the wheel, then more throttle, but never back really to full throttle. Then heavy brake again, get the nose in, and then use the curb on the exit. Dropping down towards Pouhon, braking, fourth gear, turn in, 10%, 20%, 30% throttle, 40, 50, then flat all the way through the out exit, the last left of that Pouhon corner. But again, always keeping that steering wheel constant. Don't saw at the wheel or tighten the steering angle because that will cause problems. Again here through this section of almost like fast chicane, just never ever really flat into the throttle, just basically balancing the throttle 30-40%. Here, get the nose in, make sure you brake hard. It's downhill, it's very easy to get a lot of understeer. You want to get that nose in, a lift through here, and then hard on the throttle all the way out. And then you're flat out here, checking in your mirrors. Obviously I'll be sat next to you. Flat through here, let the car drift out to the right, get the car straight, brake, turn in, wait, no throttle, then pick up on a balanced throttle at the apex, and then you can go flat to throttle at the exit. It's a very fast corner that. Heavy brakes. Brake, turn it in, now release the brake, a little bit of throttle, brake again, get the nose in, pick up on the throttle, and as you straighten the wheel, flat out all the way to the start finish line. There's a couple of voiced over coach laps of Spa. I hope that helps.